multiplying decimals with models. We learned lots of different ways to multiply whole numbers, and in this video you're going to learn how to multiply decimals with two different kinds of models. In the next video you'll learn the algorithm and how that matches up with the models that we're using. Remember when we talk about decimals that the flat, the base 10 flat, is equal to one whole. We have two different ways we can write it, with or without the decimal. The base 10 rod is equal to 1/10, and you can see that you can write it 1/10 or 10/100ths is the same thing. And then 1/100th, we're just going to write the cube, we're going to write as a little dot in this video, 1/100th, and here is how 1/100th looks in standard form. So let's look at an example of where we might want to multiply decimals. Let's say that you are working on a recipe and you need a half a cup of sugar, and you decide that you want to do the recipe 3 times or make a big batch of it. So you're going to need to multiply that 1/2 cup of sugar 3 times. Well, if you don't know how to multiply fractions yet, you could turn that fraction into a decimal and think about the problem of 3 groups of, multiplication means groups of, half a cup. And it makes sense that the decimal for 1/2 is 5/10, because if we think about a dollar, half of a dollar is 50 cents, and decimal dog could spit out a 0, and that would look like 50 cents. Also, if you think about the decimal square, half of that would be 5 rods, or 5/10. So down here, I've modeled that with a drawing of the base 10 blocks. I have made 3 groups of 5/10. So one group of 5/10, another group of 5/10, and another group of 5/10. And it's sort of easy to see in this case that I could take these 5/10 and these 5/10 and smush them together and exchange them for a flat, and then I would still have 5/10 over here left over. So this made one whole, this was 5/10. Together that would make 1 5/10 cup of sugar, or if I changed it back into a fraction, that would be 1½ cups of sugar. Now that was a very simple problem, so now let's try a more complicated problem, and we're going to still model it with base 10 blocks. Let's pretend that you went into the Dollar Tree and you found out that for today only they were having a sale and everything in the store cost 75 cents. Well, you had 5 teachers that you wanted to buy gifts for, and you decided, I'm going to go ahead and buy them all a gift today at the dollar store. Actually, the 75-cent store today. And you needed 5 of them. So the math problem that you're going to do is 5 times 75/100ths, or in other words, 5 groups of 75 cents. So I have modeled that here. If we're going to use a model to solve a division multiplication problem, a decimal multiplication problem, first we're going to build with the actual base 10 blocks or draw the problem. So I've drawn 5 groups of 75. Each one of these has 7 rods and 5 cubes, or 5/100ths. Now I'm going to make as many wholes as I can, and this becomes the ones place. So I'm going to see, can I find groups of rods, first of all, that are going to make wholes. So it might be easy to take 5 from this group and 5 from this group and smash them together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go down here and grab 5 of these. So 5/10 plus 5/10 would make a whole. Let's do that over here as well. Alright, now I have, I'm left over with 20, oops, I got too few right there. Let's include those. Now do you see that I have 25 left here, 25 left there, 25, let me take this out, 25 left there, and 25 left there. That's kind of like a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter. If I put 4 quarters together, I would get another whole. So it's going to be a messy group, but I'm going to draw those. I'm going to take those 2 together with those 2, and that's going to make another whole. So far, 1 whole here, 1 whole here, and another one there with those 4 25s. And then I'm left with another 75 here. So I had 1, 2, 3. That becomes my ones place, 3 wholes. Whatever is left over is the decimal part. So I had 75/100ths left over. That would be 75/100ths. So in this story, you're going to spend $3.75 at the store. You can also model decimal multiplication using decimal squares. I have here this problem that looks complicated, but you can actually solve it in your head already if you just think about it a different way. So 5/10 times 5/10. We also know that 5/10 is equal to the fraction 1/2, and 5/10 we can think about it like money. If you add a 0, it looks like 50 cents. So then I can, and remember that the multiplication sign can mean of. So think about it this way, half of 50 cents. Well, we know that half of 50 cents is 25 cents. That's pretty easy. Let's think about another one. 5/10 times 7/10. In other words, half of 70 cents. If you had to take 70 cents and split it into two groups, first you might take and put 30 in a pile and 30 in a pile. That would take up 60 of the cents. And then you might think, I'm going to have 10 cents left over. I'll give each person 5 cents. 5 cents over here, 5 cents over here. 30 plus 5 would be 35 cents. So half of 70 is 35 cents. Well, let's see how we can do the exact same problem with a model on the decimal square. This particular model works when we're doing 1-digit by 1-digit decimals. So 1 digit and 1 digit. I'm going to shade one decimal vertically, and you can see I've already done that. I did the 5/10 and just colored in 5 rows. Now I'm going to shade the other decimal horizontally. All right, so I shaded 5 rows or 5/10 horizontally. If we want to locate our answer, the overlapping part is your answer. So you can see here that we have a pink piece, a yellow piece, and this overlapping part that's orange is the answer. Well, if I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of 5. 5 rows of 5 is 25 hundredths. The same thing we figured down here. So this overlapping part is our answer. Let's model that over here as well. So I already did the 5/10, 5 rows going vertically. Now I'm going to shade in 7 rows horizontally. Let's find our answer. You can see that I did 5 rows vertically, 7 rows horizontally, and the overlapping part here is my answer. Each group here is 5, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 5 going across. 7 times 5 is 35, so that makes 35 hundredths. So let's solve 2 of them now together. I have 2/10 times 4/10. I already showed 2/10 vertically. Now I'm going to show 4/10 horizontally. And you can see that my answer here is the overlapping piece. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces overlapping. And you might be tempted to say, oh, it's 8/10. Well, 8/10 would be 8 rows overlapping. This is actually 8 hundredths, or 8 small pieces overlapping there. Over here I have 6/10 times 9/10. I've already shaded in the 6/10, so now I'm going to shade in 9/10. Okay, in my overlapping piece here, you can see that I have 6 going across, and there are 9 rows of 6, which would make 54. That means there are 54 small pieces, or 54 hundredths.